Okay, it says that we are live.
We are live.
I need to do it on Insta. Oh, I think it's live on Instagram as well now. OMG.
How exciting. I'm just pouring myself some evening tea.
Wow, that is an epic little teapot there. What brew have you got there?
I've got lemon balm, red raspberry leaf, and orange peel.
Yummy. I'm just checking. Okay, I don't know if it's live on Insta.
I'll go on Instagram and see.
Yeah, I think there's like a bit of a delay. Yeah, for some reason I can't watch it. Well, anyway.
But maybe it's because you're streaming, I might be able to go on.
Yeah, exactly.
I see you. ALYSS Hurts.
Hello, everyone. If you are live, I'm just figuring out.
You're not live on Insta.
It's not live.
Well, I don't usually it comes up with a little. Or just look through your stories.
It says I'm live. And on Facebook. Sorry, everyone, if there's a few of you here. Continue to Facebook. And this is a new...
Should I join?
It's live on Facebook, so that's good news.
Okay. And what about YouTube?
YouTube. Continue to YouTube. Yes, it's live on YouTube. Okay, let's just go.
Let's just carry on.
Let's just carry on. I don't know why it's not showing on Instagram, but hey ho. It is showing on my tab, so yeah. Anyway. Okay. So
good evening.
Welcome, my love. So welcome everybody to Muse Talks. This is where we skip the small talk and we dive deep into the deepest cells of life. So I would say, firstly, let's just take a moment to land. Let's drop our shoulders. Let's breathe in that good ass prana, baby.
Fix our hair.
Fix our hair. We are here. We are live. We are well. We are in Muse Talks.
Feels good.
Feels good.
Feels good to be here with you.
I'm so glad you're here. We have wanted to do this conversation for so long. So just to give you guys a bit of a intro to what we're going to be kind of talking about here. So if you are someone that's wrestled with low self-worth, hormone chaos, diet culture loops, horrendous periods, PCOS, or just feeling like you've been going round and round and round the houses with your physical and mental health, I think you're going to really get a lot from today's conversation, because the woman that we have with us here is a seasoned professional in all of these things. And she has really lived everything that she talks about. And whenever I read Siofra's newsletters or just talk to her, I come away with just so much to reflect on and just make kind of just integrate in my life in a really practical way. It's not just a trend or just hacks. She's really about just grounded, practical ways, to manage these things, and actually turn them into strengths, I would say. So yeah, let's snuggle in. We're going to go in with Siofra. She has a beautiful Irish voice as well. So I might I'll just be here swooning. So one of the phrases that you shared in one of your workshops was self-sourced self-worth. And at that time, I was really just beginning that self-worth journey in a way that I hadn't before, you know, as someone that has had anxiety and, you know, still have anxiety, as most people do in some capacity, and just being in crappy relationships and just having to uncover so much about where I was running away from myself, or like just being really harsh with myself. I only started equating it with low self-worth kind of at this time, you know. So yeah, when you think about that phrase, what was your kind of journey leading up to just coming to that point in your own self-worth? Because you just have so much and there's so many questions to ask, but maybe let's start there. Just how you would see being a self-worth, you know what I'm trying to say.
Sourcing self-worth from.
Sourcing self-worth from.
There's a lot of sus there. I'm sorry for anyone that has a list. Firstly, I cannot claim that I came up with that phrase. I heard that phrase in another workshop. And to be honest, the workshop, I felt kind of 50-50 about what I got out of it. It was somebody speaking light language, which, you know, we've kind of laughed about a lot and we understand as well. But also there's like, anyway, I'm there for whatever.
With it. Yeah.
There's stuff with it. There's like a whole thing. And I think you and I, you know, when we're speaking about being grounded, sorry, this is a bit of an ADHD offshoot, ADHD vibes. But when we speak about being grounded, and even that alone is sourcing what you feel from within, not going, oh, well, this person must be amazing because they're doing light language. Oh, yeah, I just believe everything. And not going, oh, that's bullshit. Like, oh, that sounds weird. It's just like coming to yourself and going, what does this feel like to me? It's not, I believe in light language or I don't believe in light language. Mm-hmm. It's, does this resonate with me right now? Is this cutting through? Does this feel right to me or not? Mm-hmm. And the same source, so the same person that you might get a lot of information from or that you might value, might then go and say something or do something that you don't agree with. And what we don't want to be is indoctrinated into anything, into any ideology, into any one person, you know. And for me, that really goes back to my parents. I think my parents, obviously, they did the best they could do, but they were youngish when they had me, not super young, like by today's standards, maybe a bit young, but unmarried. And I was born in 91. So in Ireland, there was still a lot of stigma around that. And I definitely became parentified. I definitely had to like over understand a lot of things. And, you know, there was a lot of different dynamics coming up for me growing up. So I only recently got reflected back to me by a therapist a few years ago, like, oh yeah, that is CPTSD, right? So it's basically a PTSD that's formed in childhood through when you're growing up. So when I look back at my parents, and because I kind of had to grow up quickly and understand a lot what was going on, kind of mature past them as a coping mechanism, really, to be able to be like, okay, I can survive this, you know, this isn't about me, or like, what is going on? Why is this? And also maybe it's just on a soul level. That's the way I am. I just think, why? What makes a fucking adult be such a fuck up? And how can I not be that?
Yeah, that's mechanics, god damn it.
You know, like, what is going on? How can we not do this again? Yeah. And, you know, we can look at this from so many different angles, like karma, like soul, like nervous system, psychological, all of these, you know, genetic even. But I think on some level I made it my mission to figure things out so that I don't repeat what I experienced and what I saw all around me growing up, like not just my parents, but their families and all of these just fucked up people that fundamentally were supposed to step in and take care of a child in a certain way, and they didn't. Mm-hmm. And I've gone through years of anger and this and that and being the victim and stories and, you know, the whole shebang. But ultimately, you know, doing the work and peeling back the layers and, you know, people are doing the best they can. Like, you know, you have to think of things in a certain generation as well. Like, there's just information that people don't have. There's societal stigmas. There's just so many different things that bleed into why we end up having the self-worth that we have, the stories that we tell ourselves. And, you know, the deeper I went, I guess an offshoot of that is my physical symptoms. So I got my period when I was 10 years old and it was excruciating. And I've always had really, really bad periods. And I would now, thinking and knowing what I know and being educated, I can think back and see that actually from a very young age, I did have metabolic disorder and I did have like blood sugar issues. And now I can think back to like, you know, yeah, maybe part of it was diet, but part of it was definitely stress, and part of it was definitely genetic, and part of it was epigenetic, coming from my grandmother to my mother, and probably further back than that. And it's probably also ancestral.
Yeah, and it's with the whole genetic thing. It's like, is it the symptom, i.e. bad periods, whatever thing that is passed down? Is that the thing being passed down, or is it the emotional mechanics happening that is being passed down that is creating those things?
I think it's the emotional mechanics, because my granny's also of the generation that like her dad died when she was very young and she was the oldest of 3 and she was sent off to boarding school so that her mother could go back to work. I think she was like between 8 and 10. And she's like, no, we loved it. And it's only in the past few years that, like, you know, there's more of these kind of conversations coming up. And she's like, well, yes, I guess it was difficult. You know, but she's just like, no, everything's great. We loved it. We loved that our dad died and we were sent away. Like, but I've asked her if she had any period problems, and she said that she didn't have period problems. And my mom actually didn't have period problems, but my mom has Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disorder of the thyroid, and she's actually had half of her thyroid taken out. And when you learn all about periods, what they really are autoimmune conditions and metabolic disorder, and where the metabolism is affected by thyroid, because thyroid is about growth and life and energy. So there's kind of like a line of how things work in the body. It's from your brain, your hypothalamus, which is where it's kind of like your body regulation, like your thermostat. It's what makes you hot and cold, or it's also very related to stress. So it will regulate around that. It's also got your body clock in it. So your circadian rhythm, light signals affect it. And then it's your pituitary gland, your thyroid, which connects to the adrenals, which connects to the ovaries. So the HPAG axis.
Right. It's a whole, and it's
a whole line. And what's really interesting is when you know, understand things, when you study things from all these different perspectives, like spiritual perspectives, emotional perspectives, nervous system, holistic science, organs, Chinese medicine, like all of these different things, hormones, like all of these different compartments, you start to see actually what a full picture is. And you start to just be able to see these people. Like I can see people walking down the road. I can tell from their bodies and just their energy what could be going on with them.
Wow.
It's a vibe, you know. I think actually a lot of people can see a specific like PCOS woman.
But what would you say is the classic PCOS?
A classic PCOS, and like even GP would say this, is like a very overweight, so like a rounded body, a lack of a waistline.
Right.
Like where your torso becomes round, beard, and quite a lot of like facial fat as well, and puffiness, and then thinning hair. That's like a classic. And also acne. That's the classic, but there's actually 4 kinds of PCOS.
Oh,
So
really?
that's where you can really run under the radar of PCOS. So that is like the classic insulin resistant PCOS. That's where you're kind of, you know, they say that with PCOS, you're kind of close to like pre-diabetic. But there's also inflammatory PCOS and adrenal PCOS. They are more around stress. And then there's also post-pill PCOS.
Right. Oh, there's so many questions firing in my mind.
Yes. Let me tell you about post-pill PCOS, because this is kind of like a very new thing.
Yes.
And it goes back to the HPA-G axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, gonadal. Gonads are like your balls or your ovaries, right? Depending on which sex you are.
Your lady nuts.
Yeah, your lady nuts or your man nuts. They're just
Or your man
the
nuts.
G. So what the pill does is switch off that signaling from your brain. So your hypothalamus, that body clock, which regulates your pituitary, which is all about growth. That's what connects to like your sex hormones basically. And it connects down through stress, adrenals, to your ovaries. And when you take the pill, that signal gets cut, basically. Like you can think of it like a wire being cut. So the brain stops telling the body, the ovaries, to produce life. And when you come off the pill, some people will just come back absolutely fine. Most people take it at least 3 months, 6 months. Some people take longer to get their ovulatory cycle back. Some people, it just will not come back. They have to do a lot of work. And that's usually the people that are very stressed and have other things going on, and nutrient deficiencies and emotional dysregulation and low self-worth, all of these pieces feeding into it, and they need that deeper work. And the pill, you know, is being prescribed as a mask for those symptoms that are already there underlying. And then you're bringing it in and it's kind of cutting that signal. And okay, we've got, you know, reduced symptoms, but you're kind of like cutting off something that's already struggling.
Yeah, it's just a mask.
It's just a mask. And that is where you would say you have like an anovulatory cycle. So you might have a period. Some people won't have a period at all. And some people will have a period, but they won't be ovulating. And that means that they're not fertile.
I mean, this just shows how complex the body is. And it makes no sense that anyone can have the audacity to come and say, here's the one life hack that will make you healthy. Here's the number one thing everyone should be doing. It's just that alone is the most stupid claim, and damaging claim as well, because it doesn't allow people to get to know their own bodies, you know, like even when it comes to like a thing I always think about now, especially since talking with you, is just our relationship with food. You know, like fasting is such a big thing now, but all of the studies of that were only done on men, not on women. And even
now, you know, we're seeing that there's like fast like a female, and that's great for some people. It depends. Like if you're already stressed out, if you're already say a high adrenal type person and you've got a lot of stress, you actually need to be nourishing, creating this rhythm of constant nourishment so that your body starts to wake up and go, oh, okay, I'm safe. That's the foundation.
Yes.
Food equals safety. Fasting equals famine equals death to the body. That's what it feels like. If you are completely, you know, super regulated, your nervous system's calm, your emotions, your self-worth, your beliefs, you know, all really great. And, you know, you see those kinds of people that have that foundation, and they, you know, can push themselves, and then they know, kind of instinctively know when to come back, because as children, they have been taught good boundaries and they've been taught that good connection to themselves. They're taught how to just say no. It's like, you know, and a lot of the time they can be quite successful people sometimes because they just can push themselves, do stuff, pull back. You know, they're kind of have like a lightness. I remember growing up and being like, why why is it so easy for some people to just do shit? Like, why can't I just do shit? You know, it's like, well, there's a whole story there that you need to unpack and unwind, and then you can.
So what was your journey with that? Because there might be people listening that they may have done a bit of self-work, watched some self-help videos, like read a few books, and I was in that cycle for many years of just absorbing a lot of information, but it was like I was still bumping up against myself, and I would still push myself to the point of burnout, and it was just never ending, the cycle. And I know from our talks, obviously you were kind of in that as well for a long time.
Yeah.
But for you, what does the work mean? Because it's everywhere. Obviously, do your shadow work, and but it's just thrown around that I actually rarely hear people talk about what that work actually means. And yeah, I'm just intrigued if you could like simplify what that is, how someone could just begin actually doing that work, you know, to help with their hormones and, you know, yeah.
So I would say when people are saying the work, I think they're talking about, you know, becoming more self-reflective and like shadow work. Yeah. But like, what is shadow work? Well, it's looking at the parts of yourself that you repress, suppress, deny. So looking at your triggers, you know, and we in recent years have been very like triggered, like you can't say anything, but they triggered me. It's like, yeah, that's actually on you. That's not on everyone else. Just because you're fucking triggered and you haven't dealt with your trauma, like that isn't everybody else's fault. No, that's your shit. Stop projecting it onto everyone.
Yes.
So that's one. I think when people are talking about the work, like that's what I see that to be. To me, you know, and why I kind of really choose self-worth in my kind of framework is because, you know, I struggled a lot to just take care of my basic needs. And I think this is, you know, it's a really common thing with people that have a history of CPTSD, so complex PTSD, and people with ADHD or people that are neurodivergent. Also, women that struggle with boundaries. So I would also kind of put that in that bracket because people who have grown up with maybe narcissistic parents or neglectful parents or selfish parents, or sometimes it can just be parents that are neurodivergent and they're struggling to cope, and so they're not really teaching you a good sequence. Or it could be people that grow up with alcoholic parents or addictive parents, or parents who have also suffered abuse growing up that are maybe secondhand still abusing in a certain way just by neglect or chaos or craziness, or that are abusive. So, you know, when I say that, there's like a whole gamut of things that can fall under that bracket. And I think there's a lot of people who can be like, oh, my childhood was fine. You know, I wasn't hit, I wasn't raped, I wasn't all of these different things. But there is a level of emotional neglect that I think we often overlook. And I think it can be really, well, I know it can be, and I see in people, it can be really confusing when their parents are together and they're like, what's wrong with me? You know, my parents were together and I wasn't severely, overtly abused. And then when we do some more digging, there's layers of emotional stuff, we can call it, right? Just stuff. And, you know, some people aren't comfortable calling that abuse. That's fine. You know, you don't have to. And you don't have to confront your parents, and you don't have to cut your parents off, and you don't have to blame your parents. I think, you know, to me, the work and the big step for me was going, fuck, I'm fucking my life up. I'm still waiting for somebody to save me. I'm still trying to prove something to somebody or show somebody that it's all their fault that I'm fucked up. Like my dad actually died when I was 18. And I realized when I was maybe about 25 that I was fucking up my life to show him that he wasn't there for me as a child. And then I was like, he's dead. Like, he's fucking gone. And you're still doing this. Like, you are fucking up your own life. You're not showing anybody anything.
Wow.
You know, show people how you can overcome. Show people how strong you can be. And you know, that took a long time for me to do that, but to me that was the turning point. And it wasn't smooth sailing, and it was years, and it took a long time to figure out what that was. But that was like me claiming my life, claiming responsibility, and saying that I'm going to figure it out. And from that point, it took a lot of unwinding things and having to face things and having to take responsibility again and show up and pull back and, you know, kind of transverse this, picking apart this like big ugly soup. And what I will say is, like, nowadays I think it's so much easier, because at that time people were kind of just starting to talk about trauma, and people were just starting to talk about, people weren't really talking about somatics, or, you know, there was maybe a little bit of that opening up, but it wasn't very well known, and it wasn't really talked about. Like, I actually did go to a somatic psychotherapist before that time, but it wasn't quite, you know, where things are now. And there wasn't quite the understanding of the nervous system that we have now.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, things have really come along leaps and bounds, and pretty much all therapists of like any kind, not just psychotherapists or counselors, who are really worth their salt, are really trauma informed and really trained somatically, actually, like nervous system trained and body trained. So therefore, you should be getting a much higher quality, a much deeper quality of therapy, as long as they are actually a good therapist.
Yeah, because that is the thing. It all starts in the body, you know, when you're a young child and these things happen. And I think some people can, like you said, can think, oh, my childhood was fine because, you know, I wasn't abused or something. But when you're that young and you're looking to your caregiver just to validate you or just tell you that they see you, that can feed so much, because you're just a little sponge, you know, you don't have anything else to kind of latch onto. So that feeling of not being seen can destroy someone's whole life. You know, it depends. I think everyone has different sensitivities that might not affect one child, it might affect another. But just for this point, it's that little it can happen, and then that gets stored in the body, you know, the fear. So
I'll give you two points there. Like, one is that a baby's nervous system, so a baby's been inside of mother's body, and when the baby comes out, it actually doesn't know that it's now a different entity than the mother. So its nervous system is literally attuned to the mother. And, you know, like, we've been into energy work for a very long time, and we're both Reiki trained as well. And we could, you know, talk about this for a long time. People would talk about it for a long time, about the aura. But what we're actually proving scientifically now is that the energy system, the energy that we call the aura, is really connected through the nervous system and the field, the magnetic field of the heart.
yes.
So the baby literally still actually thinks that its nervous system is the mother's nervous system. And that's why both mother and baby find it really distressing to be separated from each other. Because the baby actually hasn't developed any identity and any sense of self. So the mother, this is where we talk about embodiment. The mother has to embody that. The mother has to actually feel safe, not go, you're okay.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
The mother has to feel it first for the baby to feel it from her. So this is where we have to think, you know, societally, relationships, like, my mom and dad weren't together. My mom didn't have safety.
Yeah, mine neither. Mine either. And it doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't mean that if parents aren't together, you know, a child can't have a healthy upbringing. But it's just, but
it's about safety. Like, does the mother feel safe? How can we then, like, obviously, you know, perhaps she's not stressed, perhaps she's feeling relief to get away from the father. But how do we then create and support her to find safety, to actually feel calm and safe and protected, and not be completely vulnerable, because she is physiologically extremely vulnerable and in need of protection for a while, you know, maybe a year even after she's given birth. It depends on the situation and the woman. And then So the other part of what you said was, you know, it is about who is the person, what is the thing happening to who, right? So like the definition of trauma from Peter Levine, who created somatic experiencing, is trauma is the perception of something being too much, too soon, too fast, and something that we cannot recover from, but it's perception.
Right.
So that's why I can stand in a room and the same thing can happen in front of me and you, but I might not perceive it as a trauma. Or you can grow up in the same family and have multiple siblings, and one person perceives it as a trauma and the other person doesn't. We have different needs. We just have different needs. We have different ways of perceiving the world. So, like, you know, my needs might have been met by whoever that woman and man, or, you know, parents, however they are parenting. But the same person might have gotten the exact same upbringing and their needs might not have been met.
Yeah.
So we're just different. And your point on, you know, parents don't have to be together and it doesn't have to be a mother and a father. Studies have shown that you can supplement, you know, it just has to be somebody who is emotionally like attuned, somebody that feels safe. So it can be an auntie, it can be a granny, it can be whoever. As long as those people are embodying calm, safety, being connected, being grounded, being centered in their nervous system.
It makes me think as well, you know, we have mirror neurons. So obviously we mirror what's around us. So of course it makes sense. If you're not around anyone that is exhibiting that really rooted, embodied feeling, which a lot of people don't have because we're just the way, I mean, it gets so deep because of the way the system is orchestrated from a bigger level, but not to blame, but it's just, you know, seeing it for what it is.
Yeah.
So it really makes sense, that if you don't have that around you, how can you mirror that? You have no reference point. And that's why doing the work really, when it comes down to, is just learning how to be your own mother and father. You know, even if you have parents, no one's perfect. They don't have a manual. Like you said, it's this world doesn't train us to have that inbuilt in us. You know, if everyone had that stability in themselves, the world would be a very different place. That wouldn't work.
There'd be an uprising.
There'd be an uprising. People wouldn't take shit from anyone, you know.
No, but there would be an uprising because, you know, we are very indoctrinated to go to the doctor. You know, it used to be the priest. Now we don't believe in God anymore. Fine. Okay, well, we've got the doctor, we've got the scientist, we've got the government, we've got now. Okay, now we're not believing in the government anymore. You know, we don't believe in the press anymore. You know, these things are kind of falling apart. But like, there's things. I mean, our nervous systems are wired to respond to authority. That's it. They are. And once you become aware of that, you can start to observe it in yourself. Like as a woman, you know, as a heterosexual woman, I can see in myself how I respond to certain men that have a certain authority, you know, and it's not necessarily like sexual, but it's a bit like, you know, when you go for a walk and you see a female dog who might be in heat and she just lies down, she just like submits, or it's sometimes, you know, it can make me feel stressed out, or, you know, you can see like there's just a different response. I also grew up with not really having a dad around, so I've noticed like I actually feel very competitive with men. I never feel competitive with women unless they're real bitches, like unless they're really mean. I don't really get that fired up, but I get competitive with men, and I get a bit like, you know, you can't tell me what to do with men. But I don't get like that with women, right?
Yeah.
Unless they've got very masculine energy, maybe. But, you know, so it's just interesting to watch that. And like another thing, you know, on the shadow work note is your parents might have been a certain way and you might go, I'm not going to be like that, right? Like I've gone, right?
Yeah.
But you're therefore suppressing things that you innately are like. pieces of yourself that you probably have taken from them. And those pieces then get pushed into your shadow. So they're pieces of you that you've gone, I don't like that. You push it into your shadow and it comes out in different ways. It comes out when you're triggered. It comes out in sneaky ways. Maybe it comes out in avoidant ways. Like, you know, it depends on you. It depends on you of how it's gonna pop out, how that piece is gonna rear its little head.
Yeah. And relationships are going to be the number one place that happens. You know, we can live a single life and just be like, I'm so happy because I'm single and I don't have to answer to anyone. And then as soon as you're in a relationship, it's like Pandora's box. Like, who the fuck am I now? You know, everything comes out. But, you know, that can be the best place to learn it. And I think if you're doing that inner work, you know, learning to really be your own mother and father, let's say, those boundaries, you can then relate to someone. You're not just relating to them off triggers. It is all about that responsibility, you know, like when we talk about creating that safety, when you have that container so set inside of you, it's impossible to blame someone else because you're just so self-accountable. And it's like, when it comes to hormonal health or just our health in general, it's not leaking out, you know, to need these other things to make it feel okay. It's like, and that's maybe why when you have that self-worth, it leads to better hormone health, to just, you know, feeling better because it's in like a container within you that you have set, and it's not anyone else. You're not giving your authority away to anyone else but yourself. So would you say that could, maybe sum up what?
I think it's a dance though. Like, I think that, you know, what I see in women with PCOS and endometriosis is hyper independence.
Right.
A lot of women, particularly with PCOS, but hormonal issues in general, have big daddy issues. And that's not their fault. They were abandoned in some way. Or, I mean, the women in my world, like, their parents broke up and they've been abandoned in some way by their fathers, like emotionally or physically. Their mothers, you know, we can look at this as well. We can look at it psychologically, we can look at it hormonally. Their mothers then become very stressed and often become hyper independent, become masculinized. So energetically, you know, they might not have the softness from their mother, that warmth and that nurturing, that self-care that they may need from their mother. You know, and you need it from your father as well. It's just maybe like a different thing. And also, I just want to say, like, parents can break up and it can be really amicable and safe. It's not about that. What I am specifically speaking to is like a feeling of abandonment and a lack of safety, and then therefore a feeling of survival. You know, maybe there's not financial stability. I will also say, like, I have a mentor and she calls PCOS firstborn daughter syndrome.
Wow, interesting.
So in her world, it is more the firstborn daughter, whereas I actually haven't seen anyone that I know of that has had PCOS that has a father that's kind of around and really stable. And like probably a bit of a crazy mum because of that. You know, not because of necessarily the dad not being there, but just because of like having to survive and the finances and like having to kind of become a little bit hardened then. And definitely in Ireland, the social stigma of that, I don't think it's quite as bad in England. But yeah, that's kind of like the pattern that I see. And so then the people pleasing.
The people pleasing, huge. Because you went on a whole journey with your PCOS, and a successful journey, you know, and that's where you are now. You have so much knowledge to now help others, you know, with their own PCOS. So could you just share a little bit about how you went from having PCOS to not having PCOS?
I'd say it was like a winding road, probably.
Because it's said that it can't be healed, right? According to Western, a doctor, they say PCOS.
Doctors are changing that opinion. They're seeing it. Yeah. I mean, in what I see is, like, I feel that I will always have a sensitivity. So if I just, if I reverted back to behaviors that I had even 5 years ago, I could probably get PCOS again. I could give myself PCOS again.
Right.
And my cycle, is very sensitive to stress. But within that, I can get it back really quickly because all the other pieces, all the nourishment, everything else is there. So I know, like, probably if I go through this thing, like even getting married, got married abroad, it was very stressful. Actually, to be honest, that didn't mess up my cycle. But in the past month, I've kind of messed up my ovulation, but I was able to get it back within a week and just be like, no, okay, we're cutting the stress, we're cutting the shit. I'm not letting myself go there. I'm not letting myself live in that adrenaline. Like, make some decisions, change things around. Like, I can see it's affecting me, and then it's come back. So it's having the foundation, I would say, first, of nourishment. That is what is missing, is nourishment. What lies behind that can be self-worth, emotional stuff, but also gut health is a massive thing for women with period problems. And that's why in my, like, marketing, I say, painful periods and IBS and bloating, PMS, all these things, like,
it's all,
it's all connected. So if your nervous system is dysregulated, which it always is if you've got period problems, your gut lining, through the gut-brain axis, your gut lining is probably permeable. You're probably not digesting properly. Maybe you've got either stagnation, which is, constipation, IBS, like hypersensitivity in the bowel, or leaky gut. Leaky gut's really common with endometriosis.
Right.
So, and leaky gut can create autoimmune-like symptoms or autoimmunity. So really, it's kind of the leading cause of autoimmunity. So nervous system, gut, and then nutrients. So we want to be getting more nutrients. And from that, there's, stress, blood sugar, metabolism, all those pieces. Like, I'd say metabolism is like blood sugar, all those things connected, thyroid, blood sugar, kind of your body clock, all those pieces together.
And on the front of that, even though there's those simple pillars, but it can get complicated, when we go in and we're like, well, I need to make sure that I'm, doing my 10K steps every day. I'm having sauerkraut and, all those things. Yeah. And I know you've worked with a lot of women, and guided them through this process. So have you worked with women that literally were at the beginning, they weren't doing any of these things, to then they're at a point where they've, got it down? Because so much of the advice that you've shared, and I've done, even just that 7-day, the 7-day group
gut reset,
course, the gut reset was amazing. And I've kept so many things from just that, 7 days, ensuring I'm doing the 10K steps every day. I have sauerkraut with every meal, but I already obviously had like I was on I eat well and, just make sure, but I wasn't eating enough. That was one of the main things that I've always struggled with. Yeah, it's not eating enough. And I think especially women with diet culture, you always see calorie deficit is promoted everywhere of how to lose weight. And it's so toxic. I now know how I feel making sure I'm eating a lot. And that has just shifted my entire life, just that one change. But when we're inundated with eat less, be skinny, or, there's so many programs that have to unwind. So I guess what I'm asking is how can what's a simple way someone can just begin? Would you say it does just start with the self-worth piece? Is it food? I
I think it depends
Where
on the
can we
person.
begin?
Depends on what their kind of major block is. But I usually start with food because my framework is energy, body, psyche. So that's my 3-part framework that I bring into every single program. And it just really works because it creates a holistic container for whatever it is that you're working on. So the reason that gut challenge was so good is because we hit those 3 pillars, you know. So the building block, you know, of your physical energy is food. So if you're not feeding yourself enough, you will have blood sugar problems. If you're eating all over the place, like skipping breakfast and then eating a massive lunch, and like, you know, that would be my pattern. I'd be like, go ages and ages without eating. Ooh, be totally on adrenaline and like, ooh, you know, like feel like I've had 10 coffees even though I haven't had any. Oh, sorry, my husband. We have Madam just on a live stream. Sorry, darling.
Hi there.
ALYSS says hi. And then eating like a massive meal. So it's kind of this binge restrict, even if you're not like really consciously doing that in a binge, you know, a classic eating disorder type manner. There still is, I see that pattern happening with most women.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say creating a rhythm, eating 3 meals a day, eat a good breakfast. If you're somebody that is struggling or like doesn't eat breakfast and doesn't feel hungry, that's a bad sign.
Right.
Not feeling hungry is not a good sign. That is a sign that your metabolism is lowering down and that you're going to struggle. When you do start eating, you might find that you put on a little bit of weight, or you might already be struggling with weight issues, or like particularly around your midline because your cortisol will be high because you were going too long without eating. And your body's then storing fat as a way of staving off the famine.
Right.
And
yeah.
You can be that kind of like skinny fat, you know, like you might have like a slim frame, but you don't have much muscle and you kind of have like a bit of a belly and kind of, you know, that podgy kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 meals a day, eat breakfast. Breakfast is king. And then you find your rhythm. Like there's studies that show that a large breakfast, like large to medium meal, and then a small supper, that kind of old school way that your granny would have eaten, is really great for leptin, which is your hunger signal, which really is a master hormone that rules over the other hormones. So your master hormones are cortisol, leptin, melatonin.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got your sex hormones. So if they're messed up, then your insulin, your sex hormones are all going to be not working properly.
Right.
So we want to be figuring out, is it maybe 3 even meals a day works best for you? Often when there's a lot of insulin problems and a lot of hormonal problems, you actually need to maybe eat 5 smaller meals a day, or 3 good meals and snacks in between. So it's really, again, you're learning, what is your body doing? How is your body? When is your blood sugar crashing?
Yeah.
When are you getting those symptoms? And a lot of it is like dissociation, being dissociated, being disconnected as a coping mechanism. Anxiety, dissociation, stress, you know, that goes into safety and that goes into the nervous system bucket. But a part of that is, are you eating? Because I guarantee if you eat more protein and eat 3 proper meals a day and drink water and go for a walk once or twice a day, it doesn't even have to be 10K steps. Like forget about that if that's just, you know.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Then that I really think will sort out. Well, I've seen has actually completely sorted out most of my clients. This is why I have testimonials going, in a week, all my inflammatory markers have gone. Oh my God, all my joint pain is gone. What the hell?
Wow.
But a part of that is circadian rhythm. So it's getting those meals.
I was going to say, yeah.
Affects your circadian rhythm. And it's getting sunlight as soon as you wake up, not through the window, because our modern glass blocks the rays that we need into our eyes. So open your window, even if it's raining, get it straight in your eye. I I've been like, I want to have all the right routines and I'm winding down, but I just can completely stress myself out with that. And
I
I've
was gonna
just gone
say,
the past few years, like, I'm not fucking doing it all because I just won't do it. And then I'm in a tailspin and my ADHD here and there and everywhere, you know. So what I do every morning, I take my temperature in bed and I take a moment to slowly wake up. I look around, put in some eye drops because I had laser eye surgery and they're dry. and then I get up and I oil pull while I look out the window, open the window,
nice,
stick my head out the window, and I'm there for like 10 to 20 minutes. I'll do
I love that image.
Drainage.
I love that image.
I did some stories. I was like, this is my morning routine. This is me, like.
Someone just looks up like, why is that lady dribbling coconut oil with her head out the window?
But I'm telling you, it's just, it works.
It's the chef's kiss.
It's the chef's kiss.
And that's the thing.
You know, you don't need the excuse of, I don't have a garden, I don't have a balcony. Open your window. You've got a window.
Yeah.
I live in the UK. I live in Brighton. It's grey. It's raining most of the time. I still open my window.
Yeah.
And then eat your breakfast. Eating breakfast within like an hour of waking up. It sets your blood sugar, sets your circadian rhythm. It sets your cortisol and your melatonin cycle for the day. And don't have coffee on an empty stomach. Wait at least an hour. Have your breakfast, then have your coffee or your coffee that you're going to have.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, and these things are very simple. These aren't complicated things. I think it's just like you said. It's going back to what our granny, you know, what granny did. You know, it's actually makes life, I think, just because of Instagram and just there's so many hacks and biohacking, and it's great. Obviously there's good stuff you can pull from that, but it's always, I think Terence McKenna, I remember listening to something and he was like speaking to mushrooms or something, but there was something he said that the message that he got, which is true, is that simplicity, like if it's simple, it's true. Like the more simple it is, the more true it is. You know, it just stands the test of time.
I don't like, you know, I've been there. I've like, oh my God, the pride. I still have it. I still get so proud of myself when I make like a vegan looking meal. I'm like, I should post this on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, stop it.
Look at all this flaxseed I use instead of
egg. 10,000 ingredients. I'm just going to confuse my body so much. And like, oh my God, don't even get me started on all this gut stuff now. But anyway, that's like, we can go down that rabbit hole. But if you want to be really, really healthy, think about what country you come from, like your bloodline, and eat foods that are grown in that area. If you live in a country that's really far away from that country and you have to import that food in, then don't worry about it. Like your body also wants to acclimatize to where it is. So say, for example, if you move to the other side of the world, like eating traditionally made food prepared in traditional ways. Like when you actually look back at countries, they eat a lot of like stewy, like really well cooked stuff. They do have some fermented stuff, but it's like a small amount. Now we're like chugging everything's fermented. It's like, relax, it's fine. You know, that was a way of preserving things as well. So that's more for winter. Eat fresh food that is local to your area in the summer. You know, if you struggle with a lot of period issues and gut issues, reduce your raw food intake. Stop having juices, smoothies, and raw food.
Oh, really?
Yes.
For what reason?
It is very hard on your digestive system. And in traditional Chinese medicine, it would be considered dampening. In Ayurveda, it is considered to kill your agni, which is your digestive fire. So if you look at all traditions, they rarely eat raw food. Like they'll eat fruits when they're abundant, they'll eat them fresh, and then they might make like a conserve out of berries. Like they might make like cook the fruits to make a jam or to make something so that they can get some of the vitamins and some of that nutrition later on. They preserve it in some way. And otherwise they make stewy things like slow cooked meats and vegetables. They make sauces out of the vegetables. They have pulses, but it's not necessarily like the whole main thing that they eat. There's a bit of this, bit of that. Even in India, where the vegetarianism comes from, they still do eat milk. They still have some animal product.
Mm-hmm.
There is a whole other like thing to walk down, which is the bioenergetics of sunlight and how much energy we actually get from sunlight. So on that side of the world, they are living in a different way. They are living with much more heat. Your body, so we can prove this physiologically now. Your body actually, when there's more sunlight, so in summer, for here where it's quite seasonal, when it's summer, we have more cortisol. So we're more awake. You know, you wake up early, you've got more energy, you're awake until 10 o'clock because of the sunlight. You might eat later on in the day. Your body clock expands. You've got more energy. But there's also naturally more fruits growing on the trees. There's more carbohydrates available. So your body, when you have more cortisol, is more primed to digest and utilize more carbohydrate and have better insulin sensitivity.
Right.
So like where you live, what season it is, really, really affects your hormones. And we're just sipping on iced lattes and smoothies throughout winter in England, where, you know, it's cloudy and raining and fucking freezing. And then we're doing ice plunges. And I'm like, my apartment's cold enough. I don't need to do an ice plunge. Like, it's damp and cold. We need to be getting hot, heating up and putting warmth into our bodies and cooking our food.
Like, when you put it like that, it's just so obvious. It's so obvious. And it's that natural way of calibration, just working with nature. You know, it's just something, I think a lot of people are coming back to that now, just because it's so, we're just on screen.
Coming back to it because it's not a concept. It's not a nice little energy concept anymore. It's actually being scientifically proven. And all of these health hackers are starting to talk about it.
Yeah, and that's great. That's really cool. I genuinely believe that we are actually going into a very positive cycle. You know, I don't think if we look at the news, we would think that, and it's awful. So many things that are happening. Yeah. But we kind of spoke a bit about this yesterday. It's, you know, the poison is really being shown now. Where we have poisoned ourselves as humanity is really fucking on the table now. But that's what happens. We go through a healing crisis just before, you know, a positive shift happens, because you have to calibrate everything from the mind, like smallest cell to the largest thing, is always in that pendulum of bringing itself back to the center. You know, even your names, center and flow, we're always, you know, coming back. So it might seem like everything is crazy, but we, you know, even us having this conversation now, there's so many people talking about these things, which is a really good sign. Would you say the same?
Yeah, I think it's a great sign. And it's funny because there's a really big kind of hormonal woman online, and I've just seen she's now launching a new course, and she's talking about self-worth and talking about all of these self-talk pieces. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is really catching on.
That's beautiful.
And even like there's another woman in America that I've followed for a long time that's really been like a nutritionist, and now she's talking more about spirituality and the psyche and the nervous system, all this somatic stuff. And I'm like, this is great. You know, I love to see that. Definitely. I love to see these conversations opening up, and it means that, you know, I think nothing happens in a vacuum. And I think that, like, you know, what I have found, so what I've proven for myself, it means that my concept is true. If other people that are in those spaces have been struggling, even though they're doing everything right by a certain standard, and then they come to this conclusion, and I'm like, yeah, I like to see it. There's more to the picture. And this is what I've been saying for years. This is what I've created. It's like, There's more to the picture. It's not just your diet.
No.
It's not just your exercise routine. It's not just your mindset.
No.
You need to eat enough.
Yeah.
It's not just doing all your regulation all the time. You need to eat enough, and you need to look at how you talk to yourself.
Exactly.
And the boundaries that you set.
Exactly.
And, you know, how well you soothe yourself and how well you say, come on now, get the fuck up. We're going to change scenery. You know, and that's about, like, yes, reparenting yourself, but it's also just, it's just about, like, understanding your own psyche, understanding your own story, not living in it, just going, oh, I can feel right now I'm being a baby, and maybe I need to be a baby for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, now I feel like doing the thing, and now I feel better, and now I don't have to beat myself up and tell some big long story about why, blah, blah, and I'm just a piece of shit, and I'm broken, and I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, no, you just need a second. Just chill. Like, you're fine.
And I think if you just do one of these, if you start practicing one of these things, like whether it does begin with food or it begins with self-worth, the other things will naturally fall into place. Like I would say mine began more so with just looking at my talk, my inner voice, I was talking to myself. And that naturally led me, because I got in tune with that and how I was talking to myself. I then started noticing, oh, I'm actually really hungry now. I'm actually going to close my laptop and make sure I go eat. I don't care if I still have lots to do. And then those signals compound on themselves to where your inner thermostat can just really discern, okay, I need to actually just sit down and cry for a second, or I just need to sit. I just need to lay down, or, you know, and so it doesn't really matter, I think, where you begin. It's just one of those things, you know, trusting in yourself.
Each piece is like a gateway drug. And I also think that when you're kind of like really honing in on one piece and you're like, why am I still? What's still wrong with me? Okay, maybe I have to go here. Maybe I have to look at those other pieces. It's like it either leads you there, or you're like, I still have to keep looking. Like, it's still, I thought I was doing it all right.
Yeah.
What is still there? In saying that, you want to be careful that you're not just constantly, you know,
exactly. There's a balance.
Have an unbroken narrative.
Exactly. And that's, I think, if you're a sensitive person, you know, naturally we're always trying to find something wrong with us. But that's the point, is it's being like, I'm actually cool. I'm a nice person. I don't go around trying to harm people, you know, and that's where it
honestly,
can begin,
if you eat more food and you do your nervous system work and you restore your psyche, you won't be as sensitive.
Exactly. It will be a different kind of, it can be a sensitivity.
It's a different kind of sensitivity that you can switch on or switch off. But being hypersensitive is a trauma response. It is a learnt trauma response.
Yeah.
From not having your needs met. 100%. It isn't some spiritual gift. Being an empath is not a God-given spiritual gift. It's a trauma mechanism that you learnt to cope with parents that were not meeting your needs, that were ignoring you.
Straight facts.
And then you learn to ignore yourself and your needs and put everyone else's needs first. So you can heal from it very quickly.
We can all just take a moment to let that land. Because that's not spoken about, you know, that's not, just what you said there is not shared, especially in spiritual communities. Yeah, that's big. Even for me, I'm like, wow, just the way that you word that brings up a lot of stuff. It's really powerful, Siofra.
Listen, and I only know it because that's the life I've had, and I understand having to be like, fuck, I'm not special.
No. Yeah, exactly.
And not identifying with your symptoms, not identifying with your problems. You know, it is, sometimes we can think we're special, and then we start going down all these rabbit holes, and you invest a lot in like, oh, because I'm this, and you know, all these spiritual courses and how to do it. It's so easy to protect yourself. It's so easy to stop feeling attacked by the world.
Yeah.
It just takes a bit of practice and a bit of commitment.
Yeah.
And awareness. But honestly, you can recalibrate yourself really quickly. It takes learning what it feels like to be you. It takes centering and self-sourcing and learning how to do that. It's a practice.
And then at that point as well, I think you find that a lot of the things that you really connected with before just don't land in the same way, you know, like the far out kind of spiritual things and connecting with Archangel, whoever, and like, it's not so much you don't feel connected, but it's just, it doesn't have the same gravitas because you've become your own authority. I think in a way we can put these other beings or looking for something out there.
Well, on an energetic level, you are outside of your body. You are disembodied.
Exactly.
They can come in.
Exactly.
Or you can connect to it easier because you want to live outside of yourself. So from an energetic perspective, it's just self-abandonment and dissociation. So you come back into your body, you embody yourself, you start to really notice when you've got that old feeling and you start re-anchoring. You know, you learn a few techniques, you learn a few things that let you come back in, let you come back in, let you ground, let you come back in. And over time, you stop having to do the practice every day or a few times a day. You just start doing it. You just start living it. You start embodying it.
Yeah.
And you eat 3 meals a day. I swear to God, if you just eat fucking 3 meals a day.
If you guys have learned anything, I hope you've had your 3 meals today.
Honestly, I've been thinking about like rebranding myself as just eat breakfast.
Yeah.
Eat breakfast, girl. Just like, please, ladies, just eat breakfast. 3 meals a day.
Just in black and white Comic Sans. Eat breakfast.
You're not special. Eat breakfast.
Put those cornflakes down your goblet. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's, again, simplicity. Yeah. So we're coming, well, we've gone over the hour, but I mean, we could be here for like many more. But I really want to touch upon your incredible course that I genuinely, like, when she presented it to me, I was sitting in a cafe just doing work on my laptop. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna just take a moment and read through Siofra's course. And I was bawling. Like, I wasn't even in an emotional part of my cycle. It was just your normal day. Ethel was sitting with her cup of tea next to me.
A normal Wednesday.
Normal Wednesday. And I was reading through it, just like, oh my God, this is so special. This is going to help so many women. It's because you come with just this whole, I mean, people listening, I know you've given so much food for thought, and we've been talking for such a long time. And even now, again, coming away from this, there's so much for me to digest and think about. So yeah, I want you to just tell people more about the course, what they can expect.
So,
and yeah,
it's called the Holistic 360 Method. It is a 13-week group program. So it has a curriculum. It has 3 main modules over 3 months, and we go through energy, body, psyche. So month 1 is energy. We hit on those nutrition pieces, but it's not like a diet program. You know, I'm not going to be giving you recipes and telling you what you have to eat. It's pillars and guidelines. And as we do that, as you go through the curriculum, which is just like small, easy to digest steps, like the information that you need to know and the steps. It's not going to be overwhelming. It's not going to be blah, blah, blah. I've done so many programs and I'm like, okay, just get to
yeah.
I don't need to know that. Like, what is the thing? You know? So yeah, ADHD brain. I'm hoping I can like really just keep to the point. No, I can't.
You can. We believe in you.
I can. So really, really easy to digest information. Small little lessons in each module for each week. So no more than say an hour, and they're going to be video style as well. So you don't have to like sit down and read loads.
Right.
And I'll obviously, as a neurodiverse person, I need to be multitasking as I learn, or I just actually don't take it in. So I want to have that available for everybody.
And who is it for? Who is the course for?
It is for the 30+ woman who feels like she's just done absolutely everything to heal her hormones, to harness her self-worth, and to stabilize her nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, has ended up feeling more hopeless by ingesting all of this information. You're there, you're like following this diet, following this trend, protocol and supplement hopping and practitioner hopping, and I guess feeling overwhelmed and in need of that clarity, that cut through, you know. So month 1 will be diving into energy. It's about your rhythms, your day-to-day, your food. We'll be talking about the master hormones and insulin. We'll be going into gut health, and we'll also be going into food energetics, which is a piece that I don't see often.
Wow, okay.
So seasonal eating, and I come from more of a traditional Chinese medicine background, as in naturopathy, than say Ayurveda.
Which is the G. Like, I don't know a system that hits it more.
I know. They know.
They know.
And circadian rhythm. So we're hitting energy from all those points. We're creating like a deep essence foundation. And it's what you just have to know, what you have to do. And what I like to do is give like the nice to have, or sorry, like the essential, what you have to know, what you have to do. And then if you want to add on, I'll give like a deeper step.
Right.
And then month 2 is body. So something I do see a lot in women with period problems, whether it's endometriosis or PCOS, but like more say just painful periods, is structural misalignment. So I've been a yoga teacher, a somatic teacher, Pilates teacher for many 8 years. And I often see twists in the pelvis and twists in the body.
Wow, okay.
So these structural things, they actually are psychosomatic. So they do come from an emotional place. But where we start with is just drainage. So these blockages or these like twists in the body where there's tight muscle, like there's often a lot of TMJ and like, you know, tense traps. That's adrenaline. That's literally adrenaline.
Okay.
100%, right?
Strapping my shoulders now.
Yeah. And then like tight hips and lower back, that's emotional distress. So, and when there's those kind of twists and blockages and tensions, it cuts off the flow of lymph. So that's why you see a lot of talk about lymphatic drainage. It's really important with hormonal detoxification. So month 2, we go through detox. Not like a full detox. People are detoxing way too much, but just getting that flow through the body, working on a exercise routine that actually works for you.
Right.
Not, you know, and we'll coach through that. And then somatics. We're really diving deep into somatic work.
Beautiful.
And then in month 3, we're diving into the psyche. So all things, those core pillars, the female nervous system, why we are acting in certain ways and why we're different to men. We're physiologically different to men. We're wired differently to men, and we need different things to men. And kind of unpicking those pieces, taking a good look at those deeper pieces, those core wounds, and rebuilding the psychic landscape to reclaim power, like that power, that safety. But from the space of, you know, not throwing yourself off a cliff, not like, you know, we're not going to do some big crazy power move. Like maybe that's your goal at the end, you know.
To throw yourself off a cliff.
To throw yourself off a cliff. No, that's so dark. I mean to jump into something big.
Let's say they have a parachute.
A parachute. A bungee.
Siofra, is this actually a death cult? Is this? We're gonna build up. But yes, no, it's
the deep stuff, and that's the stuff that I'm like, excited about. And often, you know, it's the stuff that we're avoiding doing. We're dissociating because we don't want to go there. We don't want to feel it physically in the body because it's going to open up this core wound, this pain, whatever, you know, and something we're denying in ourselves. And, you know, having done that work and having literally been that, it's not that scary when you do it, when you face it, when you deal with it.
No, it's not.
And when you break down the coping mechanism, there's actually these like protectors in your psyche that are like, don't do it. And actually, like, they're way worse than when you do it. You're like, oh, I feel fucking great now. Like, and all this power and like just actual energy liberates within you. Like, and I really mean that. Like, it sounds so woo, but I literally mean, you know, you literally get more energy and more like life force.
Yes.
Just from unlocking those pieces. So it's really like the very, very, very exciting stuff.
And this is something you've been doing yourself for years. So this course is literally like the proof just manifest into something that is going to help so many people, you know, because you're covering all these things and it's lived experience. That's why I'm obsessed, because I know how much you've done over the years to create this and just create something that will change people's lives. Like you said, you've had clients even within a week and they're seeing all these things, and it's not magic. It's not.
It even surprises me. I'm like, whoa, really? You know.
And it's because what you're offering is actually very simple, but it's so profound in everything that's so unnecessarily complex.
Yeah. And it's just piecing these things together. I think like why it takes so long for other people to create these changes, these transformations, is because it's like, okay, you're going over here and then you have to start with this coach or this practitioner, and then you have to go over there and then you're going here, and you're kind of like piecing it all together for yourself. But this wraps it up. It's like, I've done all that work for you. I've done it all. I've pulled out the bits that don't work or that are just a waste of time. I've stripped it to what is actually the essential pillars. And then, you know, wrapped it in this beautiful bow, presented it to you. And then I've tested it on loads of different people. I've had a lot of clients come through this methodology. I've tweaked it.
Yeah.
And I'm serving it up to you. So it's a curriculum. And then it is one coaching call a week. And there's also a community where you can stay in touch with the other women in the program. And I'll be jumping in, answering questions throughout the week as well. So it's a private community.
Amazing.
So I'm very, very excited.
It's so beautiful. Siofra, I just knew I was going to come away from this as well and just learn so much. But yeah, there's so much to digest. I'm going to be listening back to the replay, just like.
Oh, babe.
So
I will just want to say that I'm running the actual program as a beta round for this first time to test out the tech and just make sure everything's running smoothly. So I'm offering it for 50% off. It starts on the 29th of September. And it runs until our closing call will be the 22nd of December. So 13 weeks, 3 months.
Beautiful. A nice December.
50% off. Yeah. So you'll be like wrapping up the year, stepping into Christmas without this like, oh my God, what am I going to eat? Am I going to binge? Oh, I'll just start fresh in January. No, you're not going to mess with that. You're just going to eat what feels good, and you're going to feel confident, and you're not going to feel guilty and feel like shit about yourself. You're going to be like, I'm going to eat, I'm going to enjoy, and I'm going to rest, and I'm going to enjoy, and then I'm going to move, and I'm going to enjoy. And, you know, there's no starting fresh in January, and there's no guilt and none of that bullshit.
No restrictive, you know, all of that. No. Amazing. Oh, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. And I know there's going to be a lot of people watching this afterwards. So if any of you, this is resonating a lot, I'm going to put the link to Siofra's course in the description.
The
so
Holistic
have a read
360.
The Holistic 360. And that goes live September 29th. So it's not that far away.
That's when the first module drops. And if anyone wants to...
After?
No.
Okay.
So it closes, enrollment closes on the 29th. So 28th.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It's a closed cohort. So I will be reopening it next year, but it'll be double the price.
Right.
Yeah.
So you heard it here first, guys. You want to get
there.
Get in there now.
And if anyone wants to book a call with me to just chat through anything, chat through your symptoms, figure out if it's the right thing for you and find out more information, then you can message me or email me if you pop my email. Or you can DM me on Instagram as well. My Instagram handle is there.
Yes, I think I've put everything in the YouTube comments, but I will edit that immediately after. Well, thank you so much, darling. Thank you to all of you that have been here live watching. Now, I don't know if this even went live on Instagram. We'll see, but I know it's live on YouTube and I know it's live on Facebook. So that's really cool. And it doesn't, I don't even know, because this is a new technology I'm using to stream this. So I don't even know if people have asked questions. But we'll see afterwards. And yeah,
I'll jump in the chat if anyone has asked questions.
Yeah. And you can always, as Siofra said, you can just send her a
DM me or email me. I prefer DM. I'm like a bit of like
emails bring up. Yeah.
DM me, have a casual chat, you know.
Exactly. Well, you heard it.
ALYSS,
you heard it here first.
So much. Thank you. You know, you've been a big inspiration to me as well. You set me on this alternative path all those years ago when we met back in the BIM days.
Back in the BIM days, yeah. Me and Siofra just were like, okay, we're on this. We've been through a lot together and come to this point, and I'm just always learning so much from my dear pal.
Oh, love you, girl.
I love you.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Sleep well.
Sleep well.
Eat your breakfast in the morning.
Eat your breakfast in the morning and your lunch and your dinner. And Muse Talks will be back for episode 3. I'm not 100% sure when that will be. We're keeping this flowing and easy and just, I have so many people that I want to speak to. So that will be, the information for that will be here in due course. But have a beautiful sleep. Let's all digest this information from Siofra. It's very valuable and I feel like could change the world. So thank you,
honey. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a beautiful night. Bye-bye.